If you would like to address the board, please fill out a yellow card, which you can drop off at that table before, and get those to Mrs. Clark before you speak. Okay.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, I'm excited here tonight to talk about Oxbow and the good things that are happening at Oxbow. And we have had a goal from the beginning of the school year about making sure that students feel like they belong. And one of the ways that we've done that is by celebrating good behavior, good choices that kids are making. And I have a friend here that's going to help us talk a little bit about this. And so do you want to introduce yourself to everyone?
My name is Mahalia. I go in 3rd grade and my teacher is Miss Kramer.
And one of the ways that we celebrate at our school and help students to feel belonging is by giving away, what are they called? 3 M's, Mighty Minutemen Moments. So these are things that students can earn when they're caught doing good things. And if you could see here that at Oxbow, we've given out 3,510. We've celebrated 10 different moments of leadership just this year. And Mahali has gotten some of them, right? So also we have, when you earn these, we collect them and we keep track of them as grade levels, right? And so we find out which grade level got the most 3 M's, and then they earn a recess with Mrs. Garber and Mr. Fairbaugh, right? And we really have felt like a sense of belonging has increased, attendance has increased, achievement, positive behaviors. We took a survey at the beginning of the year, and one of the questions was, do I feel like I belong? And we grew 6% from the beginning of the year to the middle of the year, with 86% of our students feeling like they belong. And we feel like this is one of the reasons. But I really wanted Mahalia to come here and talk to you a little bit because she has come a long way and has really, 3 M's have been something that's been really good for her. So she's gonna share a little bit about herself with you, okay? So can you tell us, Mahalia, how have you changed from 2nd to 3rd grade?
It was a little rocky at first, but then I started to go up because of my behavior, and I've been doing good.
Yeah, and so how have you been working on your behaviors? What have you been doing? What in the morning, what do you do every morning?
I always have these in one of our binders, and we actually like do the goal, name, and date.
Yep, and so when you set this goal, you think about, what are you thinking about your whole day, right? And she tries to say, so a typical goal will be how many out of 10 are you trying to do?
And be trying to do 8, 7, or 9.
8, 7, 8, or 9 out of 10, and then you would meet your goal, right?
Yeah.
But what happens if you get a 10 out of 10?
I actually get one of these.
You earn a
3 M.
3 M. And so can you tell me, how many of these have you earned?
Probably 20 to 30.
20. Wow. And so how does it make you feel when you earn these Mighty Minutemen Moment tickets?
I'm really proud.
Really proud, right? And so you've been working hard, and like she said, rocky at first, but we're growing, right? So what's one thing I know, we had a meeting with her mom, and her mom said, well, we were trying to just get one of these. And she already had how many?
Probably 20 to 30.
Yeah, she had 10. And then she said, so what's your goal for the end of the year?
100.
100. So,
Or even 200.
right? So good. So thank you, Mahalia, for sharing that. So there's one more slide up there, and we just really wanted to talk about like referrals at our school have been just really impacted in our gen ed classroom. So at this time, we had 140 last year, and now we have under 100 referrals. So we're just really thinking about the behavior that kids understand. They're going to be celebrated, and they know what to do and expect. So we're really excited about Mahalia and the students at Oxbow earning these 3 M tickets. So.
We should get Mahalia around.
Yeah.
I hope you have a great rest of your day, everyone.
So we can take a quick break if anybody wants to leave. But you are welcome to stay. Because the meeting's going to be so hard.
Thank you guys for coming.
Thank you guys.
Bye.
Bye. Okay, next up, consent agenda, 3.1 minutes from the February meeting, 3.2 executive minutes from the February meeting, accounts payable claims, payroll claims and distribution summary, human resources report, conference requests, and agreements. Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion to approve. Mrs. Tanner, second by Mr. Yoder. Any comments, questions? So, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Next up, that will be Mr. Myers, middle of the year achievement academic report.
Yes, thank you for allowing me some time here to talk about our growth. At every beginning, middle, and end of the year, we look at how is our achievement doing throughout the district. And so this year, some exciting news and some exciting growth that we've seen in our achievement. So if we start with kindergarten and we look at what you see here is this, when we look at this chart, we know we've talked about that kindergartners come to us having low preparedness for readings, right? And so we see that by the green and blues. So the top line is the beginning of the year, or BOY, and the second line is the MOY, or middle of the year. So we see that in 2022-23, we saw increase, which is what we want to see. But in last year, we saw even more increase, and this year we see even more increase. And that's what we want to see in terms of our programming, in terms of our support for our students. We also see that red line getting smaller, which is of course what we want to see. If we move to first grade, when we move to first grade, we see that again, those red lines start to creep down and start to get less and less. Our green and blues are growing. Again, something we want to see. So moving to second grade, this is where we're starting to see our first year of kids being in CKLA, having instructional coaches for supportive teachers, letters instruction and practice for our teachers. And we're seeing, again, those lines are decreasing in terms of red and yellow, and increasing in terms of blue and green. So now with blue and green, we have 57% of our students are reading on grade level, whereas we have a lot of kids that are still really close as well in that yellow. One thing that's important to note is every time we give an assessment, it doesn't matter what grade, beginning of the year and middle of the year, the tests are different. So the test gets harder at the middle of the year, and the test gets harder at the end of the year. So it's not just that kids have learned information. We would hope that, right? But they're actually growing to be on grade level, And that's what this is showing. So that's really exciting because in each of these grades, it's not just about learning new content. It's about learning enough content to be on grade level, which is exciting. So when we move to third grade, we move away from DIBELS, which is a reading measure that we use to be able to identify how to support our students, and we move to NWEA to tell us how we're doing at the beginning of the year and the middle of the year. We also, of course, have iRead, which is this week. It's a big week for our second, and third graders. But we also have iLearn, but we need other pieces of data to tell us how we're doing along the way. And so as we look at this, we see that, again, the beginning of the year and middle of the year expectations for third graders are different. So we expect more at the middle of the year. And yet we still saw improvement in all of our grades for reading and in all of our grades for math. One thing that's important to note is when we give NWEA, those percentages like Eastside at 44.2%, that's a pretty close relationship to what we might see for iLearn. So it's predictive of what we might see in passing for iLearn. Math achievement is not as predictive. Because they're different tests, they haven't aligned that as well. And so we usually see that that's about 8 to 10% higher than this score is about 8 to 10% higher than what we see on iLearn. The reason why I wanted to show it today is because we still see significant growth in our math scores there. So while it may not be the 20% that we were hoping, still 10% would be fantastic. We usually say that if we can grow 4 or 5% in a half year, that's pretty outstanding. When we move to fourth grade, we see similar, some outstanding growth. I just want to highlight Southside here. They have done some tremendous intentional work with their fourth grade in terms of moving from 20% to 42%. They're super proud of that, and they should be, right? So a lot of really strong numbers across the board here for each of our grades, and it shows us that we're working really hard, but there's a reason why. We see it in our kids, and so that's exciting to be able to see. In 5th through 8th grade, we see the same scores. Obviously, we don't have 4 different 5th grades, so it's all together here. We do see decreases in 6th and 7th grade, and so I've had conversations with, okay, what does that mean for us? And we've dug into that data a little bit more at both of those schools to make some adjustments for the second half of the year, and we feel like those adjustments are going to be supportive of growth. Just want to point out the 8th grade language arts is really strong. That's a really strong number, as well as 5th through 7th math. Really some nice scores there and some improvement there. When we look at the high school doesn't have DIBELS or NWEA. Like, those are nationally normed assessments, and so we compare ourselves in those tests to others around the nation. This year, we haven't had something like that in high school, and so this year what we did was we created our own assessments, but they're using questions from SAT and PSAT. So the 9th and 10th grade tests that we created, both for the beginning, middle, and end of the year, are aligned with PSAT. And then the test in 11th grade is related to SAT. SATs this week too, so hopefully we'll see the results of that here soon. But some really good growth here. Again, the 9% dip there in 9th grade, something that we've had conversations about, but because it's the first year of our test, we want to see how the outcome is there with our PSAT. The other component of this is SAT and iLearn are very different from each other. So this is the first time that we're kind of adjusting some of what we're focusing on at the end, and that makes a difference there. So any questions, I can flip back to any of these pages, but any questions about the data that I've shared here?
Looking at the, closer to preteen and teen years,
Mhm.
where school is a little less than cool in many cases. Do kids have a skin in the game when they take these exams? Like, do they have something making it very much in their interest to put forth their best effort?
So there, we do talk about, it really is a lot of work on our teachers' parts to make sure that kids feel the necessity to be able to see that. But it also goes along with our goal setting. So when kids see that this is how I'm doing and how it's going to affect me moving forward, there has to be some conversations there for that to be able to happen. If grades, there's no grades aligned to it, but grades don't often motivate the kids that we would like to see motivated. And so it's a challenge for sure, but we're able to see some gains. So several took it seriously.
I know you mentioned the younger grades are different tests. Is this the same test for high school?
They are different tests as well. They're different tests as well. So we took questions, SAT, and actually this is the first year that SAT put these out, but they have just a giant bank of questions that we could choose from. So it's been really nice to be able to have that so that we know the alignment there and add some questions and get some feedback from our kids.
NWEA, can you look at other county schools and other state schools?
We can't. So we can see national data for both DIBELS and NWEA, but what we are in, not every school gives those assessments. And so those are choice assessments to be able to give. The state requires that we have a literacy assessment for foundational literacy, and then something additional for 3rd through 8th grade, but it's up to schools to choose what that is. I will say that as we move forward with the spring, like I said, we have iRead this week, and our teachers and kids have worked so hard, and so we're excited to see how that turns out. Our 2nd grade are testing again this year. Last year, I shared some 2nd grade data, but not all of the schools in Indiana had to do 2nd grade iRead last year. This year they will, so we'll be able to see some of those comparisons about how did we do in comparison to not only county schools, but the state. 3rd grade will be able to do that same kind of thing. Our plan would be for iRead is we had 142 kids in January and February participate in after-school tutoring. So we were really excited. Our elementaries really did a lot of work to help with students there. We had provided transportation for some of them that needed that, and so we're excited about that. And then we'll offer another time for tutoring for students that don't pass this time. We'll know in the next week or so how our students have done, and so that will let us get started right away. And we did also tutor 35 juniors on SAT. A little bit harder to get juniors to stay after school, but for those that were interested, we were able to have about half of those were in math and half of those were in language arts, and so every little bit helps, right? And so hopefully those pieces will help. The other thing that I'd just like to point out, we're moving to double block for 8th grade or for 7th and 8th grade math next year. And part of our preparation that we're working on this semester is we have a math specialist coming in. He spent 2 days with all of our math teachers at the junior high, all of the coaches and principals in the district. And so we're not only supporting the junior high, but we're supporting math in all of our schools. They'll be with us 2 more times yet this spring, and those have been really helpful and powerful for our team. Any other questions?
I'm sorry, remind me again, 10th grade is PSAT.
Correct.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, so, just, students might not know that we do this twice a year, something. Our policy committee now is Mr. Malooly, myself, Chad, and Carla that do this. This update is pretty minimal, so we didn't have the Neola guy come in, especially knowing that the fall update, based on all of the new stuff at the federal level around DEI and other all the executive orders that have happened will create new policies. So we'll probably have a book of new policies in the fall. So twice a year, the board receives an update. Neola is a service that we pay for. Probably most school districts use Neola, that they update policies and make sure they're consistent with new laws or court cases. And twice a year we bring an update to the board. So this is a first reading, so really just here it is. And then look it over. If there are any questions between now and the next meeting, let me know and or let Carla know, and we can get those answered. We have a policy on determining legal settlement. You'll see there we have another one, a couple on student conduct, suspension and expulsion. Those are because of a House Enrolled Act that allows us to communicate over via email with parents. If that kind of thing happens, it used to have to be certified mail. So that would be changes there. And then you see some changes to ABM counts, and then there's some stuff in there about artificial intelligence as well. Tyler's been working on that and has that. So again, any questions, let us know and we'll get them answered before the next meeting. That's it. No action.
Great, thanks. KI Furnace Solutions.
Yeah, so I'm going to introduce, we have Danielle Super and Randy Hayes from KI here. We've been, the district's been working with KI for a long time on furniture. I think KI was involved in Move Up as well. But definitely East Side and West Side, when we recently renovated those classrooms, we work with KI. They're part of, basically, their pricing has already been pre-negotiated through a purchasing cooperative with the service center. And so we know we're getting the best price. And Randy always steers us correctly anyways, too. So they're going to talk a little bit about what you have in front of you and about the pieces. I think have a few slides, and then I can kind of walk through the money end of it here when they're done. So whoever wants to take the podium, you're up.
Right.
We're admiring Randy's shoes.
I know, Concord, somewhat Concord green in the color scheme.
Well, on behalf of Danielle and I and KI, thank you for the opportunity to be not only here today, but for your support and allowing KI to be a furniture solution. You guys have really done a good and thorough process of determining what product and solution should go in each classroom. We started in September with Dan and Jeff and Carrie and Jennifer coming to our KI showroom in Chicago and having a very broad example of products to choose from, narrowing them down. Then, unlike most other school districts, we met with every single teacher. And I really thank the principals of the schools for allowing that time to take place. It was probably 2 full days.
So it was probably a total of, 16 hours to meet with each of the teachers, and then an additional 6 hours per principal. So really vetting through exactly what the needs were, what the reality was to get those needs, the pricing on that, and then how to make it best fit budget-wise, and then also advocating on behalf of those teachers when it comes to the meetings with principals. So.
They would get, all the teachers would get to dream with Danielle and Rainey, and then Jeff and I got to say no.
Yeah. That was my main tagline of I'm here to advocate for you, but I can't tell you a yes or a no.
And behind us, I think it's important that you know that Haley Mosier is our head of design for the Chicago district of KI.
Mm-hmm.
She was assigned to your guys' project. And really, what you see is the result of her professionalism and experience.
Mm-hmm.
So tonight, we're just going to briefly run through the design aspect and then some product.
Yep, I think it's also important to note, so I was not a part of East Side and West Side renovation at that time, Randy was. It's also important that we made sure to take feedback of how that existing furniture was working for them, maybe what was working, what was not working, any new additions that KI brought forth too, that we thought would be helpful in the classroom moving forward. So that's just a note of what also went into all of those hours of conversation. Really started at, because if you look up ki.com, you're going to see hundreds of products. So they did a really good job in the showroom narrowing down what would work. And then we brought in actual physical samples also for those teachers to try out as well. So this is Oxbow. This is the whole school. So what we do is we actually sat with each principal and went room by room to make sure that layout looks good, space design looks good, the actual product is going to fit their need, everything down to there's what's called a caster, a wheel on the tables or chairs, or glide, which is just the footing of the chair. And then also in regards to that, the color scheme, the fabric, vinyl. So really every single detail of a furniture aspect that you could think of was really talked through and discussed with each of the teachers and principals. So this is just kind of the overview of Oxbow, but if we go further, we have individual renderings as well. So this is a typical classroom that was decided upon. So each teacher actually got the option between their shape of desk. I believe Oxbow, one school has all rectangles, the other school.
Oxbow in 4th grade did what we call
odd quads. But this is really the typical setup. So you have lounge for engagement and all types of learning, and then you have the 4-leg desk with the book rack underneath, and then also our introduction of the chair with the rocker on it. So that's a really cool new addition for KI. It's actually a piece that allows movement for the chair, but is been tested, weight rated. You're not going to have any shoulder falling back. But that's really great for all types of learning, and that actually can be removed too. So moving on.
That's the Tim Yoder chair.
Moving on, this is just another example of the option. We had about 4 different options, but really there was only 2 that went out across all of the teachers. Keep on moving down. We have an example of kindergarten. And we keep moving, pre-K. And then this is an example. Each special ed actually got the opportunity to design it how it would best fit for them. This is really the standard, so you have different table options, for example.
Hey, Tyler, can you go back to the pre-K real quick? So it's not, we'll come back to you probably either the next board meeting or board meeting in April, but there will be kitchens.
Little kitchenettes. Like wooden kitchenette, and then there's one other item.
There's a workbench south side. And then also these tables that have sand in it, they can't pull it out, but it's just like a field thing.
So it'll look more like a preschool room. Sorry, go ahead.
No, it's okay, all good. That is important to note. These renderings, all of them look like the same sizing, but those are dependent on the grade. So pre-K has about a 10-inch chair, and it's all based on existing information research that we have, and so on and so forth. So just to note that as well. This is the media center that we have planned as of right now. This is kind of like the wow piece, I think, and where we spent quite a bit of time to make sure that there were different opportunities for engagement and solo reading. That was really important. So we have a lot of different lounge options, all able to move and be flexible. So all of that furniture can rearrange into a different layout dependent on the needs of that day. If we keep moving down a little bit, this is an example of the reading coach. All of those tables can be moved and flipped up. So that's really flexible seating and tables. We keep moving down. This is just an example of the offices. So this is the counselor office, admin suite, and all of that. Every office was also very detailed of what was needed and what we can make sure to fit, ADA compliant, all of those things. Faculty lounge, and then STEM and art, I think should be the final one there. So that's just Oxbow alone. Very similar is Southside. So this is just a big snapshot, bird's eye view of the school. But we again made another detailed rendering package, which was pretty awesome. Jen and Carrie had separate meetings. We had our recommended color selections based on the existing carpet that was chosen and wall paint and other fixtures. But it was great that Carrie and Jen actually decided upon all of the same finishes. So that's also a really great thing for the district, that furniture can really be moved anywhere. So that's a great plus. So typical classroom here, a little bit scaled down. That was one important note. Southside had a little bit smaller classrooms, so we had to scale it down just a bit. That's something that's really important to us. We want to make sure the furniture is going to fit and be flexible for those needs and still be ADA compliant. So we can kind of run through this, but it's going to be very similar to Oxbow. Special ed, this is just an example of that. This is their media center. So some fun fabric choices here. Still flexible, still mobile, lots of different options. Their reading coach, so still having those flexible tables and chairs. The counselor, still having some sort of lounge, and the typical admin furniture. These finishes were all chosen to be the same as well, so that's great. Faculty lounge, STEM, and then art as well. So that's kind of just a large overview of a lot of hours, a lot of time that your district put in. Any questions we can help answer, or?
While they're thinking, I'll add,
Sure.
These guys have done a great job. We met with the YDN team a couple weeks ago to lay out, Aaron laid out the timeline of classrooms. So this will all be timed out so that, Jeff is not receiving all of this off of the semi and then we're storing it. It'll be delivered as YDN is finishing the renovations of each classroom. So, Danielle and Randy have done a really good job of meeting with contractors, meeting with Fred and the architect team to make sure that stuff's going to match and look good and fit. Money-wise, we planned for this. We have $1.5 million set aside for soft costs at Oxbow, 1.75 at Southside. Southside bid, you'll see, is a little bit smaller. There are a few less classrooms. I'd also add that Oxbow's rooms are a little bigger, so they were able to fit a little bit more in their rooms, which also is why that price is just a little bit different as well. So, questions?
Okay, that's all right.
And those are so easy.
Well, what happens if one of the principals has really bad taste?
gosh.
And make sure.
I would hope not. There was one request of yellow, and I said, you know, as the teacher's advocate, I will let them know that got mixed, and that's okay. No, all of the finishes, I made sure were gonna be, we have like everlasting colors. So those are gonna be ones that are KI standard for a very long time.
So institutional grade
Yeah,
now.
we sort of, yeah.
Yeah. We did a little speck of Concord green here and there just to still make it fun, but it's gonna be pretty modern, standard, timeless colors.
Warranty on all this, guys?
Lifetime. So, yeah, lifetime warranty on all of it. So, arm brakes, caster brakes, the chair brakes itself, we come out and we service that. That's a part of the price. So that, yep.
Along those lines, we had a 15-year warranty. KI really builds everything from an engineering perspective. The owner of KI until very recently, when he sold to employees, was an MIT engineer. So it's an engineering perspective. And after the years, they understood that our products last, and we were actually able to go to a lifetime warranty. But what does that mean? Okay. It can be sort of BS, right? Let's face it. So what we've done is we've put a QR code. Every single piece of furniture will have a QR code on it that you can scan. And when Jeff's no longer here, when the facility person needs the information, it's going to have a line drawing, when it was manufactured, the order, every single detail, all the materials, who to contact. Generally, I don't care, but
I'll be here.
you would contact.
I'll be here. You can contact me.
Contact her.
Yeah.
Or call KI.
It'll have KI's phone number. It'll say lifetime warranty on that as well. So that's just really nice for facilities teams. When anything breaks, you don't have to go searching of who made this, what's the number. You just scan that QR code. It'll say lifetime warranties, and it'll say the phone number or the email to contact, and then all the information there. And then we come out and we service that. But that's not any additional charge.
And one last thing, on the state bid contract, on the service center contract, there's no surprises. So that pricing includes freight, delivery, installation, and trash removal. So it's not like we're going to come back and say, oh, by the way.
Yep. Prices. What it is.
You said you take the old existing trash removal, you take those with you?
Not the old existing, not the old existing, but the current. The car's ordered. I wish, we should open up a side business for that.
Yeah, there's a lot of need for that.
Yeah, furniture south side,
Yeah.
nobody wants.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
Right.
that's why they can have it.
Well, Jeff, what do we do with
Yeah, what's your favorite?
Garage sale.
We have, last day of school, we have every kid grab their chair and desk.
So to keep this moving, I will make a motion to approve.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'll second that. Okay, motion to approve by Mr. Yoder, second by Mrs. Thomas. Any more questions for Kat, who's done a great presentation?
Thank you. Any questions? My information is here.
Are you doing the, any other Elkhart County schools?
Yeah, so, Elkhart County, so we work directly with Elkhart School District quite heavily. Right now, we're actually working on a mini IT building. There, we did that, how many years ago now? 5 years?
Yeah, 4 years ago. Have you been to the EIT building? That's all, that's 100% KI.
Yep, so that's 100% KI, and then they're doing a smaller building, so.
Right. KI is number one in education market in the US, higher ed and K-12. Our K-12 market is really taking off. So when you get to your high school, we have some really, I don't know, how innovative furniture solutions.
It just keeps changing, because you said keeping up with.
Yeah, we do a lot of, so on KI, we have a lot of white pages. So we do a lot of our own in-house research. That's where a lot of our product actually comes from. Particularly the chairs have been a focus in the past, I would say 5 to 10 years, a student chair, because teaching children also evolves. And the students' needs evolve. So we've done a lot of in-house research of how to best support that teaching. And that's where we've come out with new chairs, which sometimes that can be costly for districts. So the addition of those rockers, that is, I think, a $10 addition that you can buy per chair, and those can come off, those can be put on. So a lot of research continuously taking place with our.
Are you doing esports chairs?
Yeah, we just, yep, we are doing esports, yep.
Good having you, Chair. I'm thinking my help.
Awesome.
Just gonna give every teacher a screwdriver for the locker things so they can,
Walk it out.
But that is also a great addition that it can be done by the individual. It's just a little screwdriver, so.
We have to go back. Okay, is that, are we good? Any more questions? Okay. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, the same? Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for presentation.
Of course.
Okay. Next up, Whitehead.
All right. So I'm Aaron, Director of Operations with Whitehead Construction. Whitehead Construction is pleased to present a proposed contract amount for Concord's Southside Elementary renovations. Under public CMC law, Whitehead received and publicly opened bids on February 20th, 2025, and the result was under budget. Multiple alternates were requested as part of the project. The results were reviewed with the administrative, architectural, and construction teams. The team recommends that the board accept base bid plus alternate 2. Alternate 2 is for some wall protection behind the classroom sinks. We're requesting board approval of a GMP in the amount of $14,781,315.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Lee, second by Mr. Jones. Any questions for Aaron?
Seems like we should, as we put down for questions.
Yeah.
We've only seen we've seen your presentation for 4 years.
Yeah.
No questions.
Lay 'em on, girl.
No questions here.
But this time you said under budget, so I'd like to.
On the budget.
Any questions?
I would just point out that, the letter at the top, talking to Jonathan about this, says Oxbow, but at the bottom clarifies that that's Southside.
Sorry about
Well, Aaron did not write the letter.
that. I would have fallen on that sword.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same? Okay. Thank you. Okay, next up. Advertising for more construction and technology. Mr. Stevens, hi.
Good evening. So you've got furniture, you've got a budget, now I'd like to buy some tech for the rooms. So I'm bringing to you tonight a proposal just asking to go put out a bid for, a request for bids for our classroom technology. What we're looking at here is all the classroom projectors for both buildings, as well as the projectors that'll go in the gymnasiums and the cafeterias. So I just want to put some bids out there, see what we can get back.
Motion.
Go ahead.
Motion to approve.
I'll second. Motion by Mr. Lee, second by Mrs. Town. Questions for Tyler?
No question, just comment. Every time we ask for tour of building or you and I talk, it's like, yes, yes. And so you're answering questions as we're going through the process. So thank you. Aye. Oh, you can call me.
Any other questions, comments, besides Mr. Yoder's comment? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the same.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, financial report, Mr. Evans. Yay.
Thank you. Pull up the screen here.
For the financial report for the period ending January 31, 2025, basically, I would say that for most of the cash balances, they're about where I would expect them to be for January, beginning of the financial year. Just a quick reminder, the curriculum material is now included as part of the education fund, although we have to break that out so that you can kind of tell the difference. And probably we'll do that throughout this year, maybe, and then we'll decide when we go from there. But that would be really the only other comment I would make. You got to ask any questions.
Motion to approve as presented. Second.
Mr. Yoder, second by Mr. Coons.
I know, no, we always mention health insurance, so it's good, yeah.
Wait, no.
That's good. I mean, yeah. That's probably the first number that I look at. Makes me nervous. Any other questions? All those in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay.
Thank you.
So for my report, a couple things. If there's anything, any events that you want tickets for, if you don't have that information, Carla can help you. We have a musical coming up this week, voice sectional tomorrow night up at Northside Gym. Tonight starts the Dollar Tree Scholars Phonathon, and so if you would like to be included, make sure you get a call to donate to our Dollar Tree Scholars. Let me know, and make sure your phone number gets added to our list. So I'd say that's tonight, tomorrow, and Wednesday. So if you haven't gotten a call and you would like to donate to Dollar Tree Scholars, I'd say by Wednesday, let me know and make sure. Renee Kokenauer is the president of Dollar Tree Scholars right now, so make sure you get added to that. Other than that, there's been some confusion on the date. There is a third house this week. Goshen's third house is in the morning. I believe Elkhart then. Looking at Julie, Elkhart is at lunchtime, right, Friday? I know Goshen is in the morning, Friday.
I believe Concord is canceled there, so this one will be resuming in April.
Okay. Okay, so go to Goshen if you'd like to go to third house. Then we do have advocates on March 14th. So Mr. Coons is a member of that advocate group this year, but if anybody else would like to attend, just let us know. So we avoid for.
Oh, yeah.
We have time, so 2 people can come if you like. That's it.
Okay. Let's go over our upcoming board meeting schedule.
Yep, I can do that. March 17th, back here for a regular meeting.
I skipped sharing from the board, that's why.
I figured I would get it.
Oh, come back to that.
Okay. We only have one meeting in February, April 14th, right after the Monday after spring break. And then board tour, we are going to do the high school on March 24th. If you can't make that, again, just let us know. Principals prepare, small groups and stuff for that a lot. So just let us know if you can't make that.
Okay. I will go back to sharing from the board. Sorry.
Driving here, I did read that boys basketball team received a sportsmanship award, so that was kind of fun being at the game and watching the game. Good to see the boys, coaching staff and the players give a sportsmanship award. So those are always fun to see.
Shout out to Iowa Listed for placing in state. That was awesome. Anybody else?
Say I'm excited for a lot of the improvements we have going on facility-wise, the projects and whatnot. A lot of these are long overdue. And, excited to get some of these going.
Jeff's excited too.
Thank you, everybody, for coming. I guess we're adjourned at 5:50.